Hey, hello everyone, this is your host Zainul Hassan, and in today's video we will be creating a pretty simple extension called Popup Window. You can use this extension to show drop downs on your different view components. So we will be writing this extension in Kotlin, so let's start. So let's create a brand new project by opening up a terminal window. So I will open up Windows Terminal. And here you just want to type in the command rush create to create a brand new project. So I will call it drop down. You can name it whatever you want, and next just fill in the details. So here it is asking for the language, so you can either select Java or you can select Kotlin. So in this video we will use Kotlin, so let's select Kotlin. You can also enable Kotlin in your extension after you have created the project. So for that, what you can do is you can open the project, and here let's first open up in the IntelliJ IDE. So once the project is open, just open up the rush.yaml file, and what you can do is you can type in Kotlin enable true, and then what you need to do is you need to open up this source folder, and here just rename this file to instead of .java you will just change the extension to .kt, and if you have any code inside the file you just have to change that code to Kotlin. So now we have our dropdown.kt file, and the first thing that I will do is I will do a little bit of cleanup, and I will delete the simple function. Then you just need to hit Ctrl Alt L, and it will optimize the imports as well as do some a little bit of the cleanup. And as you can see that we have the class dropdown. It takes in a component container, and then it's extending the Android non-visible component. So this is a pretty basic template for Kotlin. So next thing that you want to do is you might want to open up this website where you have all the reference to the API for Popup Window. So this is what we'll be using to show a dialog or a drop down. So as you can see, we have different constructors. You can use either one of it, but here what we will do is we will use this context. So let's now create a private variable. So by typing in private val context of type context, so here I will select android.content, and next we need to find a value. So for this I will say container.$context. so we have the context. Next we need to get the pop-up window, so I will say private val and pop-up, so it's going to be pop-up window. So next I will say pop-up window and pass in the context that I have. So this is going to give us a pop-up window. So as you can see, it has imported all the dependencies that we need, android.widget.popup window. So if you're not using an IDE, then you will have to import these manually. So next thing that we want to do is we want to create some properties as well as functions. So let's start by creating some properties. So we will create two properties, one for the background color and one for the elevation. So as you can see here inside the documentation that we have this set background drawable and also a set elevation. So we will create properties for both of these. Here you can reformat the file by hitting Ctrl Alt L, and it will do the formatting for you. And next we need to specify some private variables for the properties. So for elevation we will say elevation. So this is going to be of type float, and the default value is going to be 2. And let's now create a variable for color as well, private for color. So I will name it background color. So this is going to be color.white. So as you can see that we can get the color from java.awt, scenes.paint and whatever, but we need to get the color from android.graphics. So this is a constant value that is defined in android.graphics.color. So as you can see, it has imported the dependency, so it will be default to background color of white. So you can also specify the type here. So the color is going to be an integer. Next we need to create a simple property. So type in add simple property. Next you can enter a description in the parentheses, but for now let's just keep it simple. And so for the property I will say fun elevation. So here we will take in elevation in float. I will say elevation of type float. Next what we will do is we will assign this elevation to our elevation. So I will say this dot elevation equals to elevation, and I will also change the elevation of the pop-up window. So I will say popup dot elevation equals to elevation. Now if you see here, you will get some warnings by the IDE. So what you can do is you can head over here and open this menu, and inside here you will get this option suppress unused warning if annotated by simple property. So select that, and next what you wanna do is for the rename, what we will do is suppress function name for class dropdown. Next what we can do is we can create a getter for the elevation. So I will create again a function and name it elevation, and here we can just return the elevation that we have. So let's create a property for background color. So I will create fun background color. Here we will take in color in integer format, not in color format. So next what we will do is we will assign the background color. Background color is equal to the color, and what we also need to do is we need to change the background color of the pop-up. So we have this function called background drawable. So if we type in color, so it will give us error because color is not a type of drawable. So what we need to do is we need to create a color drawable. So here what we will do is we will pass in the color. So what this will do is change the color of background drawable. Next we can create a getter for our background color. Again follow the same procedure. Create a function with the same name, and here what we will do is we will return the background color. So it's pretty simple to create your extensions in Kotlin. As you can see, we don't have to write a lot of the boilerplate code. Now we are going to create designer properties. So for that what you can do is just go above at simple property, and here just type in at designer property, and for the editor type we will say property type constants, and we will get the property type color. So as you can see above, it has imported property type constants from the components.common package. And next what we need to do is we need to provide a default value. So default value of a color start with and ff. So this ff is the transparency of the color, and next we need to provide the hex color for the white or whatever color you have. So for white it is 6 f's. So this is the way for writing a white color or whatever color you want. So first you type in and hff. So this ff is the transparency, and this and h is, I don't know what it is, but you have to write it. So this is the transparency, and this is the hex color for hex code for the color. Let's now remove the extra spaces. So this will create a designer property with a default value of white color. Oh, I totally forgot. This is the function for elevation. So what we can do is we can just copy this designer property below to the background color. And for elevation, we need to create a float property. So we will do is we'll again say designer property, editor type, property type constants dot non-negative float. So this will create a text box and the default value is going to be 2, same as here. So our properties are ready. Now what we will do is we will create a function that will help us to show the pop-up dialog. Let's create a simple function, and you can pass in the description, but let's just keep it simple, fun, show. So we will say show, and the next thing that we're gonna do is we'll take in some stuff inside this function. So what for that we can just say, so we need to change the pop-up views content. We also need to do some we also need to set a dismiss listener and some other stuff. So if we search here, we will find a function name as show as dropdown. So we need to find the anchor view. We can also provide x offset and y offset, and we can also provide in gravity. So let's create that. First we will take in content view. So this is going to be content view. This is going to be of type Android view component. So Android view component is any visible component that is shown on the screen. So this Android view component clause is used for all the components that are visible on the screen. And next we have this anchor view. So this anchor view represents the component to which the dialog will be shown. So we will say anchor, and this is again going to be an Android view component. And next we need to take in x offset. So this is be an integer, and we also need a y offset. So now we have the values. What we can do is we can get the actual view first. So I will say val actual content. So this is the actual content that we can show in the pop-up window. So this is going to be content view dot view. Next we need to make sure that the actual view doesn't have any content. So what we'll do is we'll say actual content dot parent. So what we need to do is we need to check if the parent is null or not. So what we'll do is if the actual parent is not equal to null, what we can do is we can get the parent. So we will get the parent and we will say actual content dot parent, and we need to cast it to a view group. So a view group is a type of view which can hold multiple childs. So if you are using a linear layout, if you are using a horizontal arrangement or a vertical arrangement, that is a view group, as it can hold multiple childs. So what next is parent dot remove view, and we will pass in the actual content. So what this will do is if it will check if there is a parent for the actual content. So if the actual content is bound to a parent, then it will ask that parent to remove this view so you can use it to show the dialog. So this is necessary, otherwise it won't work. Next, what we need to do is we need to do some functions on the pop-up. So what we will do is, so this apply comes from Kotlin. You can use this to call functions directly on this pop-up instance. So what we'll do is we'll do the content view is equal to the actual content, and next, so what's the issue here? Okay, so we have the same names for two variables. So what we can do is we can say this dot content view. So this will resolve our issue. Otherwise what you can do is you can rename this content to content view to just be content. So let's just rename it to content, and here what we will do is we'll remove this dot. Next we need to show this, so we'll do is show as dialog, show as drop down, and here we need to pass in the anchor view. So we'll do is anchor dot view, so we'll get the actual view from anchor. And next we need to provide in x offset, y offset, y. Okay, so we need to rename this to y offset of type int, y offset, and we are good to go. Next we need to create an event for onDismiss. So for that what we can do is create a simple event at simple event. So let's create that. Here I will say fun on dismiss, and we won't take any parameters, and here we will just dispatch this event, and we'll say event dispatcher dot dispatch event. And next we need to pass in the name of the function. So I will just copy this onDismiss and paste it here. So next you can do is remove the warning for this by going to the menu and suppress unused warning, and you can do the same for the function. Now this won't work since we need to add the listener. So what we will do is we will create the listener inside the init function. So this init comes from Kotlin, and this will run whenever the constructor is called or whenever the instance has been created. So here we need to do is we need to set up a listener. So we will say popup.set onDismiss listener, and here we will just call onDismiss. So this will call the dismiss listener. One more thing that we need to do is we need to call the elevation and background function whenever the component is created. So we will do that right here. So we'll say elevation, and we will pass in the elevation that we currently have, and also the background color. Here just pass in the background color. And next what we need to do is we need to be able to dismiss the dialog. So for that we can do is popup dot outside clickable. So we will do is true, and what we will do is popup dot is focusable, and we will also set this to true. So these two will do is whenever the user clicks outside the dialog, it will dismiss the pop-up. So you can create a separate property for this, but for now we won't create any property, we will keep it simple. Now there is only one function remaining, so that will be for dismissing the pop-up window through code. So this will be add simple function, and we will call it fun dismiss, and we will simply do is we will call popup.dismiss. So this will dismiss any current pop-up window. Now it's time for us to compile the extension. So open up the terminal and type in rush build-r. So okay, so it doesn't recognize rush, so let me close the terminal and open up again, and we will pass in the same command. Okay, so the built-in terminal wasn't working, so I open up Windows terminal, and here you just pass in rush build-r and it will build the project. So as you can see that we have some errors, we have some warnings that it can't find reference class java.lang.init invoke.lambda meta factory. So this really doesn't matter. So what we can do is we can just copy this and we can ignore this warning. So this is coming from I guess this, because we are using lambda functionality here, so it really doesn't matter. So what we will do is open up this progot-rules.profile, and what we can do is just ask for the compiler to not warn us for this class. So what will this do is it won't give us any warning for this java.lang and so on. So let us retry to build the extension. So as you can see that the extension is built successfully. So let's try it out. So here I have a pretty simple project. I have this list of options that we will show, and this button and a label. So let's now import this extension. So when the pop-up button is clicked, what we will do is we will show the dialog, and next what we will do is we will set these options visible to true, and then we need to use these options as the content. For the anchor, what we will do is we'll use this button. So we will show the pop-up upon this below this button. So for the X and Y offset, we can just keep them 0. Let's now test it. So now when we click the pop-up, you can see that it shows this dialog, and when we click outside it dismisses it. Great, now you can add an icon to this extension. You can create a 24 by 24 pixel icon, and you can add your icon right inside the assets with the name icon.png, and it will set your icon. You can also change some properties here, and this code will be available to you on GitHub. So that is it for this video. If you found it useful, make sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Till then, thanks for watching.